Hi, my name is Katarina Sullivan and I would like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. Covering this election campaign is going to be interesting for me over the next few weeks, being this pregnant. I returned home from a client meeting today and I've just woken up from a 2.5 hour nap, so this video should have been up way before now, but I'm here, I'm awake, I think. I've got half a face of makeup on, but I'm trying my best. So before we get started looking at last night's debate, I'm going to have a bit of a rant. In the past 24 hours since the debate, I've seen so many political commentators and well-respected journalists talk about this debate as if it were a presidential debate. This means they were using terms like knocked out of the debate, among others. Now, we've covered this before on my channel, but I'm going to go over this again as a reminder. In Australia, we do not directly elect a head of state. We elect a candidate to represent a party who chooses their leader. This is very different to somewhere like the United States, in which the people vote directly for their president and vice president. It sounds like a small deal, but it's an important distinction to make. As we become more Americanized through television, film, music, and other media, especially through social media, we are taking a more presidential debate style reporting to our leaders' debates here. Why this matters is because at any stage of the campaign, although highly unlikely, either of the major parties could replace their leader with a different leader. At the end of the campaign, the party that forms government and/or the party which does not form government can replace their leader. So by May 22nd, we could have a different Prime Minister to who we thought we were voting in and a different opposition leader to who we thought we were not voting in. You have to remember, all policy is down to the party, not the leader. With all the political misreporting on this aspect of the debate by some of our country's major news channels, I just wanted to make that distinction. And now we can get started. Last night we saw the first debate of this election campaign. The debate was held in Queensland, conducted by Sky News, and comes off the back of a shaky start to the election campaign for the opposition leader. Issues discussed last night included aged care, a federal integrity commission, turning back votes, and foreign policy. Over the last week, Albanese has faced a lot of scrutiny over his confusion on policy and his lack of knowledge around critical facts and figures. Expectations for Anthony Albanese were quite low after a rocky start. However, Albanese performed a lot better than anyone had predicted, especially against Scott Morrison, who is known for his debating skills. Overall, my own interpretation was that it was a pretty even outcome. Morrison was more confident and more eloquent, but was speaking a lot about previous action rather than future policy. On the other hand, Albanese was less confident and less well-spoken, but had a greater focus on future policy. There was only one real blunder, which was Albanese's comments on the boat turn back policy. It seemed Albanese was confused about his party's policy when he was Deputy Prime Minister back in 2013. His timeline on the implementation of the policy was out by several years, and it was also one of the reasons Labor lost power the last time that they were in government, which really should have been something that he remembered. Others have argued that he isn't actually confused, he's just intentionally sharing false information in the hope to trick voters into thinking that it was his government who came up with the policy. Either way, it wasn't a great look. Other than that, the debate was fairly evenly placed. In fact, the audience, who was made up of 100 undecided voters in Queensland, at the end of the debate, 40% of those voters decided that Anthony Albanese won the debate, whereas only 35% of voters chose Scott Morrison as the winner. This, of course, does not mean that the respective politician's party is the party for which they will vote on election day. As we have seen over the past week, a lot can happen in 1 week over an election campaign, let alone with another 4 or 5 to go. Now, I try to keep this channel completely unbiased, but I've had so many questions on what I've thought of this first stint of the campaign. So here are my thoughts. This is where I highlight this video turns into opinion, not completely unbiased information. So my thoughts on the first week and a half, well, firstly, I've been disappointed to see the coalition use so many anti-Labor campaigning tactics. I get that you have to show your opposition isn't the best choice in an election campaign, but I feel like some days there's an overuse of the negative campaigning. I would love to see more forward-facing policy, highlighting more of what we can expect if we as a nation were to re-elect the coalition. It has been quite exhausting following their campaign due to the sheer negativity of it, especially on social media with some of the memes that they're coming up with that can tend to be a little bit more childish. Labor's start to the campaign has been somewhat less than ideal as well. Albanese has made some mistakes about some really important issues to Australians, including the unemployment rate, which has been especially close to people's hearts in light of the pandemic. He's also made mistakes around casual jobs, as well as whether or not his party's healthcare policy has been costed. Again, some of these mistakes have come under scrutiny as either Albanese not knowing what he's doing or that he's flat out lying to the public. However, again, we need to remember we are not America. We don't vote for a prime minister, we vote for a party. So beyond who you want to see as prime minister, you really need to think about who you want to see as the party in power. If you vote one politician in, there is no guarantee that they will still be the leader of that party a week or even a day after the election. We've seen this be the case ever since John Howard was voted out. A lot of changes to the leadership within the two major parties. So while these leaders' debates are interesting, they can at times put too much focus on the party's leaders and not enough on the parties themselves. It also takes away from the fact that there are more than just two parties. It is unlikely that we will see any other party form government, but it is likely that we will see one of these parties do a deal and form a coalition with a different party. Whether it is the coalition with some of the independents or Labor with Greens or other independents, if it gets down to the wire, someone's going to make a call. What can we expect to see next in the campaign? Today, nominations have closed for those looking to stand for the 2022 federal election. Tomorrow, these nominations will be declared, so we will know who our candidates will be for the 21st of May. This actually only gives candidates 16 days to have their platform well known before the commencement of early voting on May 9th. I'm curious to know if you watched the debate last night, and if so, what did you think? Did you think there was a clear winner? Is there more you'd like to see from either of the two leaders of our major parties? As we approach the election, I'll be covering more videos on how to fill out a voting paper, where you can vote, the ways in which you can vote, and other related topics. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Please comment below on your thoughts on the first debate and what you would like to see from all candidates and all parties during the campaign moving forward. Please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on more 2022 federal election information, and share this video with your family and friends. I'll see you next video. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye for now.